I wrestle with God, but in a world that feels colder each and every day, the thing that warms my heart more than any other thing is my faith. Not for the sake of being good or useful or being seen in a certain way or feeling like I've mastered perfection, but for the reason I was drawn to it in the first place. Love beyond measure in a world that measures everything. It is probably one of the scariest things to talk about wrestling with God because I feel like I have to have it all figured out, and I am nowhere near. I am the most misfit of the misfit brigade in this area, but maybe that's the point. And I think by sitting with how uncomfortable it is to speak about for just a little bit longer than I'm comfortable doing, maybe it reaches you at a deeper level and you can feel it too. Now, you might be saying, Paige, you've never talked about this before, in which case I respond, no, I haven't, because it's terrifying. Trying to put words to something that I know very little about, I can't prove, and yet undeniably feels so certain in my bones is a paradox that I'm sure is probably the most human experience. And if I'm being honest, being vulnerable in this new way takes a little bit of courage because there's no real way about talking about faith without talking about my own life, my own story, my own struggles, my own imperfections, and everything in between. Failures included. Now, a small disclaimer, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to preach anything to you or change whatever label it is that you've put on yourself. But I can wage to bet at some point in your life, no matter what you label yourself as or lack thereof, past, present, or future, you have, are, or will wrestle with God at some point or another. What you're about to see is a day of me in the woods doing what I have loved for my entire life with my girls. For as long as I can remember, art has been more than just painting or self-expression for me. It's where I go when things feel complicated or I feel as though I don't have the words. And it's the closest place I feel to understanding something spiritual. So as you watch this, just know that what I'm saying and what I'm creating are coming from the same place. If you're watching and my words connect with you, that means more than I could possibly share. It's my life, it's my beliefs, it's my struggles and imperfections and failures, and maybe it will meet you in yours. It's not my goal to change your mind. It's simply my goal to share my words in this way so that maybe you can find a way to share your own and understand yourself a little bit better. And if something gives you an aha moment, please don't leave me hanging. Say hello in the comments. I reach out and I connect with everyone who does because I'm here for this, for being in a space with connection and honesty and in a community where we're all just trying to figure it out imperfectly together. So, deep breath, here we go. And you might be wondering, who am I to even speak on this? The answer is, I'm not anyone with it figured out. I'm a daughter, a wife, a mother, a business owner, an artist, and just like anyone else, I'm in it. I don't claim to have answers. In fact, I almost want to say this out loud. I reserve the right for this to be a moment in time, a reflection of where I'm at right now. Nothing more, nothing less, because this isn't me trying to teach you anything at all. It's just me being honest about what this actually feels like for me. And I think part of why this feels so complicated is because there are real things we wrestle with. Not small things, the big ones, like trying to understand why painful things are allowed to happen at all, or why our minds want to question everything, pulling at the logic like biting our nails or searching for a ship in the distance.
Okay, come on. Ever this way.
Trying to make sense of something that doesn't always fit. The feeling of praying, the kind of prayer that moves you in your bones about something you feel so deeply in your heart and being faced with deadening silence, wondering if anyone is listening at all. Wanting to be somewhere, to find who's aligned, but also seeing that not everything built in the name of faith actually represents love. The tension of forgiveness when it doesn't come easily, and learning how to lead with humility in a world that constantly rewards ego. Feeling like you'll look like a fool to those who have known you since before you started to carve your way into your walk with God. The moments where it feels quiet, where something that once felt so close suddenly feels so far away. The fear of getting it wrong, of not believing the right way or not enough. And the weight of your own mistakes, wondering how you're supposed to come close to something good when you don't always feel like you are. And then, among all of those other heavy items, there are the quiet, more personal ones, the things we don't always say out loud, the moment where it just feels confusing, and you're left wondering if you're doing it wrong. So I'll start where this really began for me, not in scripture, not in logic, but in relationship. And sometimes I think, with a bit of a sense of humor, that God probably knew it was the only way I'd get here.
Come this way.
That it would take something personal, something I could feel, and maybe he also knew that it would take me a long time to understand it. That my head would take a while to catch up, because even now, in the doubt, in the questioning, in the daily wrestling, I keep coming back to something simple, not fully explained, but steady. Two things that feel undeniable to me. That I'm loved, and that my life is being held with more care than I could ever create on my own.
Come on.
Even when I don't understand it. There are certain truths that don't need to be explained, the kind that move through your body before your mind has time to catch up, like a smell from your childhood or a hope for your future. Or the feeling of your child reaching for your hand. That one hit me hard today. It's almost like a memory lives in us physically. A quiet, haptic response that happens in the present, but somehow carries the weight of something much bigger. Threads of our past, our present, and even our future all at once.
This is fungus, tree fungus. It's dark on the top, and underneath it's white. Be very gentle.
And I feel it when I think about how small their hands are right now and how one day they won't be. That ache held equally with something so beautiful, imagining their bright future, adventuring their life. It's hard to put into words. Because at the very same time I question why those we love are sometimes taken from us or shift away, I can close my eyes while I'm cooking and I'm back at my great aunt's table, sitting there with her years after she's gone. There's love in that tension, in the holding on and the letting go. A kind of exchange that feels bigger than language, bigger than religion, bigger than anything we try to define. It just is. And in those moments, it feels like a quiet reminder that we're all part of something, that we belong, without needing to prove it. Because you don't need words to understand the way our children look up to us is the same way we once looked up to those who came before us. And I think that's why this feels so important to share. Because time is short, and our lives, they're marked by moments where we choose to step a little closer to what feels true, to what connects us. We just got back from Maui, and for the first time in a while, I wasn't creating or building or pushing forward. I was just being. I've been going to the same shoreline my entire life, and standing there again, it felt like time folded in on itself. I could see flashes of being a kid, my grandparents there with me, memories rooted to that exact stretch of sand, and now they're gone, their ashes part of that same beach. And there's this moment where that reality hits, this quiet ache, and then almost immediately, it's met with the sound of our daughters laughing, running across that same sand. And it's like both things can exist at once, loss and joy, grief and life moving forward. And I think that's what's been sitting with me lately, how two things can be true at once, that we can hold something beautiful and something painful at the same time. And I don't think we're meant to resolve that. I think we're meant to live inside it, because that's what my relationship with God has felt like. I wasn't raised in faith. I didn't grow up with the language for it or the structure or the understanding. I kind of found my way into it on my own. And it wasn't slow or careful. It was sudden, personal, and very direct. And when you don't have the framework for something like that, it can feel incredibly grounding and completely disorienting at the same time. Because on one hand, there's that part of me that questions everything, that wants logic, that wants proof, and wants to understand how any of this could possibly be real. And then at the very same time, there's this experience of something so undeniable, so full of love, so much bigger than me, that I can't ignore it. And those two things, they don't take turns. They exist together, pulling at each other like tides that don't fully come in or out, just constantly shifting, ebbing and flowing, filling and emptying. And if I'm being honest, it can be incredibly exhausting because I'm trying to hold on to something that my mind doesn't always know how to make sense of, while my heart is completely convinced of it. And I'm there, right in the middle of that. And I think that's why art matters so much to me, because it lives there too, in that tension between what we understand and what we feel. There's something about stepping into what you feel called to create that doesn't ask you to resolve the contradiction. It lets you work with it, to build from it. When I paint, I'm not trying to figure everything out, I'm just responding to something I can't fully explain but can feel guiding me as I go. And somehow, in the middle of that process, those two parts of me, the one that questions and the one that believes, they stop fighting each other, they start working together. It doesn't make everything make sense, but it creates something honest. And I think that's what draws me back to it again and again, because in those moments, I'm not trying to prove anything. Even in creating this video, I'm just participating in something that feels real. And that's the part, maybe, that I'm starting to understand. That maybe this, the questioning, the tension, the wrestling, isn't something to fix. It's something we're made for. That we were created with all of this depth, the complexity, the curiosity, even the parts of us that don't quite make sense, not as a mistake, but as an invitation. Because it's in choosing to step into that, even when we don't understand, even when we feel insecure and unsure, even when we're a little afraid, that something opens. Not perfectly, but honestly. And for me, that's where I started to experience God more clearly. Not in having the right words or the right understanding, but in those moments where I let my guard down. Where I stop trying to get it right. And I just come as I am.
Your sister's bad. She wants to paint. Come on over then.
Leaning in even when I don't fully understand, trusting something deeper than what I can explain, and I think that's what relationship looks like. It softens something in me. It strips away the version of myself that feels like it has to perform, or prove, or hold everything together.
His turn again. We're sitting here. His turn.
And it brings me back to something
Okay.
simpler.
Like a pencil.
So yeah, I wrestle. I have questions. I don't understand a lot of it. I feel like a misfit in it sometimes. Correction all the time. But maybe, just maybe, that's the point.